So what are the most famous stories about cults? What are the best cult stuff ever?
The best ever. All right. Well, I think a lot of people are pretty familiar with Jonestown.
Okay.
And so Jonestown is,
Kool-Aid?
Yeah. So in our last episode, we actually had Kool-Aid up on the board. So most people are probably aware of that. The People's Temple group that was led by Jim Jones, and so they ended up having to go to Guyana. Okay. Yeah. And so
and they started a compound or something.
Yep, started a compound down there. Yep. And so like in the late 70s. And then of course most people are aware of it because there were government officials that actually came to check it out. Some of those government officials were actually killed. And then news got back to our government. Our government is, sending more people back down there anyway. So they ended up doing a mass suicide of over 900 people.
Why did the government want to go down there? What was wrong with it?
Well, they were going just to check out like what was happening down there with that group. So they had gotten reports of like abuse and individuals being kidnapped and taken down there. And so they were following up, hey, what's going on here? And yeah.
Okay.
And then it just went from bad to worse.
And they all killed themselves.
They all killed themselves.
Before the government got there.
Correct.
Did they all kill themselves, or did the guy who started it kill everyone?
No. So yeah, dude, it's crazy. So they passed around this quote unquote Kool-Aid, right? They passed around this drink for everyone to drink. And they really didn't have a lot of choice if they wanted to or not, because they had armed individuals surrounding them, making sure no one left.
Okay.
And I mean, the horrific part of it is like parents were told to do this, like give it to their kids. So they were giving it to their kids and then they were drinking it. So some of them were actually like watching their kids die before they did. Like, dude, it's insane.
I mean, if the Lord tells you that's what you got to do, you got to do it.
Yeah, but the Lord didn't tell them. They were just crazy. So like 909 individuals ended up dying.
Is that a special number?
I don't think it's a special number. It's just the number.
Okay.
Yeah. So
next.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and it was cyanide, by the way. Well, they were just drinking just straight Kool-Aid. It was
right.
Cyanide. All right. So another
Someone
one
mixed up the vodka with the cyanide.
Right.
That's what happened.
Right. One of the ones that is actually one of the ones that I first thought of when you asked the question was David Koresh and Waco, Texas.
Okay.
So a lot of people today know Waco, Texas, with the Gaines family that do all the like. What do they do? The
church something?
No, they do like the home remodeling and that kind of stuff.
Oh.
And then they've like opened up this like big plantation out there and whatever. Anyway,
plantation.
Something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, with stores.
So it's just getting worse out there.
Plantation is not inherently evil.
I've been told it is.
Yeah, so like, I mean, anyway, all right. Oh boy. Okay. Back to David Koresh.
Okay.
All right.
So this was before the
Gaines are have so they've really helped kind of bring back the town. Okay. Let's put it that way.
All right.
All right. So, but yeah, when you asked the question in my head, this is like one of the first ones that came up because in the early 90s, so I think it was 93, again, the FBI, or I think it was actually ATF, actually did a siege against the compound of the cult group that David Koresh was leading and was part of. And so for Koresh, so he was part of a group that had broken off from the Seventh-day Adventists. And so they were called the Branch Davidians. And so he was the head of this religious group.
Oh, after his name? David?
No, Davidians. No.
Oh.
That goes back to like King David.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so Koresh is like leading this group. And there was this like concerned that this group was like stockpiling weapons. Okay,
a cult was stockpiling weapons.
Yeah. And it wasn't like a huge group. Like it was. I mean, it was like 70-ish people. Okay. So I mean, relatively, I guess, nice sized group. It wasn't like huge. Nothing near like what we saw like in Jonestown, with the People's Temple group. But anyway,
that's enough people for the guy to sleep with.
Yeah. And right.
That'll keep you occupied for a while.
Right. And there was and you mentioned that, and there was all these allegations once again of child abuse, of statutory rape, all of this was part of it as well. So anyway, so ATF goes in, there was firing, 4 agents get killed, some individuals
they were shooting at them.
So the individuals from the cult get killed. And so then the FBI comes in, and then there's like this over 50-day long standoff.
Okay.
And eventually they decide we've got to go in, we've got to do something. So they breach the compound, and it ends up going up in flames.
Okay.
And so about 70 people end up dying from that group.
Okay.
And some of it was from, they were trapped in there. They were literally burned alive. Others were shot. So when the coroners did their assessment of, what had happened, there were individuals that had been shot and killed, by other people in the group. Basically they turned on each other. It looks like David Koresh more than likely was killed by one of his own people. So, because he was shot in the head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Somebody was done.
Yeah. So, it was but at that point in time, it was like, man, dude, you waited way too long to
shoot this guy in the head,
or to figure out he was not who he said he was. Waiting until
you're getting shot.
Right. At. We're being invaded. And now's the time you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe this dude's a fraud.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not who he's.
Boom.
Yeah. And so, because Koresh built himself up as the final prophet of this group.
Right.
And so the end times were going to be happening,
okay.
Yeah. So he was all into the book of Revelation and seventh seals and all that kind of stuff. So he was convinced Armageddon, end times were happening. He was the final prophet.
I forgot about that part of making a good cult.
What do you mean?
That the end times have to be real soon.
Yeah.
And you're the only one that knows about it.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to have that built in.
Yeah.
Because then it kind of keeps people in hey, if we want to make it through the end times, we got to be part of this group.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's several elements of what you need for a good cult.
Yeah. That's a good part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
man, there's so many things. It's so easy too.
Yeah. What do you think the list is right now? Where are we at?
We're at you got to you somehow got to not believe in Jesus. Yeah. So you just need to find something from somewhere, like a book that they didn't include in the Bible, or a new revelation.
Yep, new revelation. That's good.
Or some other ancient text that no one's ever heard of.
Right.
That completely changes who Jesus was, and that opens the floodgates into you coming up with whatever you want later.
Right. And now you're like the modern day prophet.
Right. Because you know about the thing and nobody else does.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely the starting point.
And then you have sex with everyone.
Right. You've got to build in polygamy somehow.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 We're good at this.
Well,
we're just giving people ideas.
Maybe we're not. This is not helpful.
Yeah. And then end times.
Yeah.
And then a list of things that people aren't allowed to do.
That's what I was going to say. You got to have some strict moral code.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a strict moral code.
And you have to build that into whatever revelation that you had, or whatever book that you add to the Bible.
And why, and not just why you're right, but why everybody else is wrong.
Right.
You've got to have this is why we are
because they didn't add this piece to it.
Right.
Which completely changes everything. That's why everyone else is wrong.
Yeah.
Easy.
Just so easy to start a cult.
Yeah.
Golly.
Whatever.
Yeah. And, and then, and we talked about this last time, the whole beginning of Mormonism is just wild to me.
Oh, is this another story?
Yeah. We talked about this last time, right? But you got a 14-year-old kid, that, sees a vision, and then, But I mean, it just, the progression of it to me is just wild.
You didn't talk about last time, though?
What's that?
How Jesus came to Utah.
Or it was in America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the whole premise of the Book of Mormon, right?
Yeah.
Is that this is the revelation of Jesus coming to the Americas.
Yeah.
And now Joseph Smith has this, no one else does, right? And there's several times, like, while he's writing the Book of Mormon, like, I think it's like right in the very first beginning part of the Book of Mormon, it's like, here's the people that were there that can attest to these are the truths of the Book of Mormon. Like,
right.
Hey, we were there,
we saw
these
Jesus.
truths. It was just they were getting a revelation about Jesus.
Okay.
That basically disproved everyone else, because like that was kind of whole Smith's thing, right? Like going out and praying and being like, which denomination has it right? Because you got all these different denominations at this point after the Protestant Reformation, and we're in the early 1800s, and which one's got it right? And apparently the Lord told Joseph Smith, they're all abominations.
Right.
But I'm going to give you the truth, and you will be able basically to restore the truth of who actually Jesus is and true Christianity. So
at 14. Well,
I think by the time he's getting the plates, he's 17.
Okay. I
think that's right. And so, it's just like, and then like when it starts really building and with momentum, he's like 21, and you're just like, but I just don't know. Like, I don't understand how you trust people at that age.
Yeah.
Especially with something like this, like it's just that wild.
Like bringing down an entire religion, or saying everybody else in the world is wrong.
Wrong, but
for thousands of years.
Right, but me as a 21-year-old, I got this.
Yeah. Nope.
No.
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 And people still believe it today, though.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Which brings us to our next question.
Okay.